What's happening, people? Back again for another stream. Champions League. Champions League starts tonight, guys. Starts tonight. So again, we've got the two big games. Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan. And then obviously Arsenal versus Real Madrid. First leg at the Emirates. Before we start that, big up big up reluctant gamer every time as well. Someone comes through. So yeah, Newcastle beating Leicester City 3-0 yesterday. I did predict a 4-1 scoreline, but I mean 3-0 is as good as 4-1 really. I did say once Newcastle got the first goal, they'll be running away with it. And to be honest with you, a 3-0 scoreline could have been more, and that all but almost resigns Leicester City to Championship football next season. And again, Newcastle, game in hand, into the top four now. Well, I think they're into they're fifth. They're fifth, but I think their game in hand will take them I think a point off of Nottingham Forest if they was to win their game in hand. So again, this Champions League is now heating up. I mean, the top four race, is now heating up. And I think you can either pick between, obviously, Nottingham Forest are third. I still won't say Arsenal are a shoo-in for Champions League football, but I think in terms of the cushion they have, they're ahead at the moment. But you got either Nottingham Forest, Man City, Aston Villa, Chelsea, and Newcastle that are vying for those Champions League places. And to be honest with you, I can't actually tell you, because I mean Nottingham Forest, as I said, are sitting in third, but will they stay there? Remains to be seen. Obviously they've got Everton coming up at home, which they'll be hoping for 3 points there. But again, as I said, man, I think Newcastle, they're making a late run for it, and they've got the game in hand as well, which they win that game in hand, that's going to put them firmly in the driving seat as well, because as I said, that'll make them a point off of Nottingham Forest in third. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, guys, Champions League tonight. So who are we guys going for? So you got the Bayern Munich, Inter Milan, Arsenal, Real Madrid. For me, it's going to be two close games, I think. I think in terms of the Bayern Munich and Inter Milan game, you've got Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan have the best defense record in the competition so far, I believe. And obviously Inter Milan play with a three at the back system. In Bayern Munich, again, they've got one of the top scorers in the competition in Harry Kane. And obviously, as we know with Harry Kane, when Harry Kane gets chances, he invariably scores. And obviously, again, he'll be the main focal point for Bayern Munich in terms of the goals. And I think Inter Milan have the defense capable of shutting Harry Kane out. So we'll have to see how Bayern line up, because Bayern have got a few injuries, which I'll go into. Big up to Asif Wa. Yeah, big up for coming on. Guys, again, if you are enjoying the stream, or it's your first time in there, make sure you smash that like button and make sure you subscribe to that Gav Goes In. Big up to Desi Munda Goanka. Big up as well. So yeah, Bayern Munich have a few injuries, and I think these injuries, yeah, big up Desi. Big up to Asif Waller as well. Yeah, guys, what I'll do, I'm going to go through obviously a few things, and if you've got any comments to put in the chat, make sure you put them in, and I'll get back to them after. As I said, if you are a wrestling fan, or you're a boxing fan, or a UFC fan, as well as a football fan, make sure you put them comments in the chat, guys, and we'll get onto them once we're finished. So yeah, I'm in the UK, Desi, but big up for coming on. So Bayern Munich, I think the injuries are going to be crucial for them. And again, Bayern Munich do have a squad. They do have a squad that is, in terms of the Bundesliga, is more than enough to win that. Which again, I think they're 6 points ahead of Bayer Leverkusen at the moment. And again, with the injuries that Bayern Munich have got, this could be a crucial time for them, because I think something's going to have to give. I believe, because the injuries they have I don't know if they're going to be able to sustain the Champions League and the league title, because they've got Borussia Dortmund coming up on the weekend, and that game is after the Bayer Leverkusen game. So if Bayer Leverkusen, yeah, big up Leiber, yeah, big up the Bayer Leverkusen game. If Bayer Leverkusen, because they're playing before, if Bayer Leverkusen wants to win their league game, that makes it 3 points that they're behind Bayern Munich before Bayern Munich have played Borussia Dortmund, and that'll be a tough game as both teams again are in Champions League, and you would think that Bayern, depending on the result tonight, would have to rest some players, even if they can do that, because they've got injuries as well. So it's gonna be a crucial couple of days for Bayern Munich. Again, no Alphonso Davies, who's their main left back, and who's a massive threat as an attacking fullback. Deo Upamecano. I know Upamecano's got a mistake in him, but I think Upamecano, in terms of his experience that he's got in Champions League now, and of course, I would say his experience in the national team, which would help. I think he will be a miss, even though he is prone to a mistake. But I think he is one of Bayern's main defenders, if not their main defender, and he's missing tonight. And then you've got obviously the golden boy in Jamal Musiala, who would obviously playing at number 10 normally. He's out as well, and I think that could be a problem for Bayern Munich going forward. Obviously they've still got Harry Kane, they've got Michael Olise, who's a top player. But on that left hand side, I mean, Serge Gnabry might start. Gnabry might play on the left hand side. Muller might play in a 10, or they might go for a 3 in midfield. I don't see them matching up Inter Milan's formation, but I think in that midfield three there, in that midfield, I think Thomas Muller might start, as they're at home, and they might play a Kimmich and probably a Goretzka in that midfield. Yeah, big up to Adorma. Guys, I will get back to your chats in a minute. Should I go through a few of these as well? And Kingsley Coman's out injured as well, which will be a massive miss, because Coman's pace on the flanks is crucial. And then obviously the experience of Manuel Neuer, who's still out as well. And again, his experience will be massive, especially if they was away from home. So I think at home they might be a bit more fortunate. But I think if you look at those 5 injuries there, they are massive misses. And you would probably say almost all of them are all starters. They're all starters in Bayern's strongest team, you'd probably say. So yeah, they're going to be massive misses. And as I said, I think Bayern, for me, they'll need to go on the front foot and dominate the game, dominate the ball against Inter. But Inter, the way that Simone Inzaghi sets them up in games like this, they're very comfortable again with the 3 at the back. Obviously Bastoni being the leader of that 3 at the back. I think Acerbi might play as well. But they've got no Denzel Dumfries again, who is their main right wing back. So I'm just interested to see who they're going to play out there. They have got obviously many options, but I think Denzel Dumfries will be a miss. Obviously Zielinski in the midfield and Mehdi Taremi as well, who are both out. But I think they've got cover in those positions to not miss as much. But I think going forward, I think the key is going to be for Inter Milan will be Nicola Barella, and then the front 2 of Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez, the captain. I think if those 3 are on their game, then I think it could be a tough night for Bayern Munich, especially with that defense as well. So it's going to be a tight game. I can't really see him much being given. I would probably say that Bayern Munich would need to, as I said, they would need to go and force the issue on Inter, and try and get a couple of goals, taking them back to the Allianz Arena, back to the San Siro, where they can, hopefully shut out Inter Milan and force Inter Milan to come onto them, and then probably try and hit them in the transition. But I mean, and that'll be a good plan for Bayern, obviously with Harry Kane's passing And if Kingsley Coman is back for the second leg and Musiala, obviously their pace could be work better in the transition. But I think tonight's going to be a key game for Bayern. How do I see the game going? I think purely because of Inter's defense. I don't see Inter getting beat. So I'm going to say I can see a 1-1, I would say. I can see a 1-1 between Inter and Bayern. And again, I think if it's 1-1, I think that plays into Inter Milan's hands. I think Bayern will need to go and win the game and then force Inter Milan to come onto them in the second leg to have any chance, I believe, of going through. Because I think Inter's defense, I think that's one of their keys, and I think that might get them through. But tonight's result will be dependent on that. So yeah, I'm gonna say 1-1. 1-1, I'm gonna say. Big up to Adorma. So Adorma says, "Hi, bro. Who will win La Liga?" Barcelona will win the La Liga. I don't see Real Madrid catching them because I still think Real Madrid will drop a few more points. But I think Barcelona right now, I think they've got more than enough to hold on to that lead. I think they're 3 points ahead. Is it 3 or 4 points ahead at the moment? So they've got that cushion. And I can't remember the fixtures, but I believe Real Madrid's fixtures are slightly more difficult, I believe, than Barcelona's. So yeah, I think Barcelona win the league, definitely. And again, they've got two of my favorite players in world football right now, Lamine Yamal and Pedri, that are spearheading it. And obviously Robert Lewandowski as well, who's still going strong at the age of, I think 34. So yeah, they're definitely gonna they win that. And obviously Rafinha's in the form of his life. So yeah, they've got more than enough to win that. But in terms of Champions League, again, I said Barcelona for Champions League, and I can see a Barcelona, possibly Real Madrid, Inter Milan final. I think Barca are not on the same side as them, so I think Barca are on the same side as PSG, I believe. So I think it could be a Barca, Real Madrid, or Inter Milan final. I believe, that's what I'm gonna go for. But yeah, big up for your question, Adorma. And Adorma also says, bro, Messi is he the GOAT or not? Messi is the GOAT. Well, for me, my three favorite players ever to play are Messi, Ronaldinho, and R9. So for me, it's either one of them three. And obviously there are a few others, but those three for me are the top three. And as I said, yeah, it can be either one of them three in the conversation for GOAT, I would say. But yeah, Messi, again, when people say Messi or Ronaldo, it can be taken as subjective because, if you're people now, especially in this era of stats, people will look at numbers and say Ronaldo, even though Messi's numbers, I believe, are better than Ronaldo's overall. If you're looking at both goals and assists, I think Messi has better numbers in that sense, I think. But if we're looking at from an aesthetics point of view, a pure footballer, as commendable as Ronaldo has been in his career in terms of what he's won, in terms of the goals he's scored, in terms of the stature that he's got in the game, as a complete footballer, he's nowhere near Messi. Messi's better technically, he's a better passer of the ball, he's a better creator, he's a better dribbler, he's got a better touch. Ronaldo obviously is better in the air, but he should be 6 foot. In terms of physical strength, I mean, you can't really test that. People might say Ronaldo, but Messi's strong. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, if we're talking from purely aesthetics, Ronaldo's nowhere near Messi as a footballer, and again, Ronaldo's not even in my top 5 of the best football players. He's not better than Eden Hazard. He's not better than a Neymar as a footballer. But if you're going to look at numbers, then this is where the conversation gets me. Yeah, Messi, Ronaldo. He is as a complete footballer, as a pure footballer, should I say? Cole Palmer is cold. He is. Cole Palmer is again one of my favorite players in the Premier League, and he's someone, especially in the Premier League, that is keeping football alive because the Premier League now is a hard watch. You know, there's a lack of quality in the Premier League, and he is someone that's in that league. You know that is keeping football alive. I would say because as I said, the Premier League now, in terms of quality, in terms of I'd say, I mean, people will say it's an exciting league, but I don't even think it's that no more. I just think I would say it's competitive in terms of there's a lot of teams that are going for the same positions, you know, but I don't necessarily mean that these teams are top teams. But I just think that the quality has declined massively, and someone like a Cole Palmer is keeping that alive. So, yeah, massive fan of Cole Palmer. And Adorna says Argentina will win World Cup without Messi. Um, I don't think they will. I don't think they will. And the reason I say that is because Argentina, obviously, as a nation, as a squad, have a lot of good players. But if you look at the World Cup that Argentina won, Messi was the defining factor. And I look at what Argentina have now. I don't see any defining factors in their team. What one player that I'm frustrated that wasn't didn't have the career that he probably should have had, especially international wise, and that's Paulo Dybala. Like again, Paulo Dybala, one of my favorite players when he was coming through at Palermo and then to Juventus, and yeah, he's not really fulfilled his career, in my opinion. Obviously, he's at Roma now, and he was someone that was earmarked to be the heir to Messi's throne, but obviously that's not worked out. But in terms of what they got now, you know, they've got young players coming through. You got Thiago Almada, who I think is a very good player. Maximo Perrone as well, who's at Man City. All these players are coming through, so you know there could be a bit of a changing of the guard. But in terms of Argentina winning the World Cup, not for me. Not without Messi, I would say, you know, because they've got a lot of work to do, and a lot of their key players from that Messi era, you know, are yeah, they're on their way out really. You know, Di Maria, you know, obviously there's no Aguero no more. Obviously Messi, you know, pretty sure there's a few others. So yeah, I don't think that they'll win. Big up to Gracie. Big up Gracie for coming back. Guys, as I said, if you like the channel, make sure you subscribe and make sure you smash that like button. Just one click of the button, guys, with the like button. As I said, it helps to reach more people. So as I said, if you do enjoy the channel, then as I said, just press that button, smash that like button. And again, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Moving on, Arsenal versus Real Madrid. Now, for me, this is this is a game where, funny enough, let's say Arsenal was to win this game, which I don't believe they will. You know, I think they are capable of nicking it probably 1-0 at home. But I think Real Madrid will get an advantage going into the second leg. But what I would say is that if Arsenal was to win this game, I think it would give them a confidence that they believe that they could probably go on to win it for a lot of their fans. And obviously that will give them a confidence in the league still as well. Even though for me the league and the Champions League is gone for both for Arsenal. But I think this game's crucial for Arsenal because if Arsenal was to get beat badly, you know, then I think again Arteta needs to come into question, you know, because how long's he been there now? What, 4 or 5? No, about 4 or 5 seasons. I think he's been there now, and he's got one trophy to show for it, which was an FA Cup, which was more or less Unai Emery's team. So if they was to get beat heavily today, which I don't think they'll get beat heavily, you know, because I think they're gonna sit in the low block for definite, which again I think might be the wrong decision, you know, but I can see that happening. I think they'll sit in the low block and use the likes of Saka, who's definitely going to start the game. Use Saka, use Martinelli. I think he'll use their pace on the counter and hope for the best. But for me, I think if Real Madrid get the first goal with Arsenal sitting in that low block, I think Arsenal I think Arsenal are in trouble for sure, because I think that they're going to force Real Madrid are going to force Arsenal to come out, because going to the second leg in the Bernabeu, Arsenal will need to come out anyway if they're behind in the tie. So this game's going to be crucial. I think if Arsenal can, let's say Arsenal win 1-0, or get a result where Real Madrid, where they're ahead, then I think that would be good for Arsenal. Even though I think they will sit in the low block at the Bernabeu as well and let Real Madrid come onto them, and obviously see if there's any gaps for them to exploit. But the main thing for me is Arsenal going to go into the Bernabeu in the second leg with an advantage, which is going to be tough. How I see Arsenal lining up, and again, Gabriel, who's arguably been their main defender this season, out injured, which means Kivior, who played a good game against Everton, will come into the lineup. So I think they're going to line up with, I think Jurgen Timber's back as well. I think they're going to go with David Raya in goal, Timber right back, Kivior and Saliba centre backs, left back Lewis Skelly. In midfield, I think they're going to go with Partey, Declan Rice, and Odegaard. Well, no, they will go with them three. And then the front three of Saka, Martinelli, and trying to think. I'm not sure if he's going to play Marino or Trossard, because he might play Trossard as someone that can roam along the front, along the front, and obviously that would mean that Rudiger and I think it's Raul Asensio will be playing as well. I think if they play Trossard, they won't have someone to mark as like a target man would offer that, because if Marino plays, then obviously Marino's going to play right up against them. Whereas I think if Trossard plays, Trossard will be roaming along amongst the front three, so giving them not someone to mark. So it'd be interesting to see if he plays Trossard or Marino. If I put my hat on it, I'll probably say he's gonna play Trossard. I think he might play Trossard, Martinelli, and Saka as the front three. I believe he might do that at home and give the crowd something to hang on to or to go for. Real Madrid, how they're going to line up? Again, they've got a few injuries and suspensions. Obviously the injuries of Dani Carvajal, obviously, and Eder Militao have been long term. Suspension to Aurelien Tchouameni. But I think how they're going to line up: Thibaut Courtois in goal, Valverde will be at right back, left back will be Ferland Mendy, centre backs will be Rudiger and Raul Asensio, who's basically come into the team, and he's not made Eder Militao really be a miss, and he's obviously going to be a fixture for Real Madrid, and I believe Spain's for both national team and for club team as well. And I think midfield will be interesting because I believe Camavinga starts, and Camavinga for me should. Tchouameni's out. Tchouameni's suspended, so I think he might have played, but Camavinga should start, and I think he will. And then next to Camavinga is going to be interesting because Dani Ceballos is I think he's back, and then you got Luka Modric. But I'm trying to think. I don't know if Ancelotti plays Modric away from home in the Champions League, knowing that of the Arsenal at home, they're going to be trying to press Real Madrid, and obviously the legs might not be are not obviously what they once was. So I think that he possibly might play. I mean, I'd play Modric, but I don't know if he's going to play Modric. So I think he might play Camavinga and Dani Ceballos, but I could be wrong. He could play Modric, but Camavinga for me definitely starts because you're going to need Camavinga's, his agility and his legs and his quality in there. And obviously he's going to play Jude Bellingham in the 10. And the front three again, is going to be Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr. and Kylian Mbappe, and I think the front three there, obviously they have the quality to cause problems to most sides. And I can see Real Madrid winning this game. I'm gonna go for 2-0 Real Madrid. 2-0 away from home. Yeah. I was gonna say Real Madrid might concede, but I think I think Rudiger and Asensio together, I think they're quite a solid partnership. So, and I think obviously going forwards, they've got quality there and they've got threats that will cause problems. So I'm gonna go for Real Madrid 2-0 to win against Arsenal away from home. And then for me, that almost but seals the tie going into the second leg. And again, they've got Arda Güler on the bench, Brahim Diaz, Endrick, so they've got options on the bench that can change the game as well. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see, man, for sure. But I think Real Madrid definitely win that 2-0. I'm going to go for. Big up to Adorna. So Adorma says, Lamine Yamal or Ansu Fati. You know what? I'm glad you've asked that because I don't know if you've been watching my streams from before, but what Lamine Yamal is now, that should have been Ansu Fati, but obviously injuries killed him. I say killed him. Injuries have thwarted his development because obviously he's still got time. I think Ansu Fati now is what 21, 22, I think. Obviously made his debut at 16. There was a reason why he was given the 10 after Messi went, because they see his projection going in the way of what Lamine Yamal's doing now. Before I say, I think it's annoying for me because Ansu Fati for me, I still believe will come good. He's not getting game time at the moment, and to be fair, you can't really blame Hansi Flick because you've got Lewandowski obviously playing as a 9, Lamine Yamal, who's arguably not only the best young player in the world, but he's probably the best player in the world currently, I would say. And then you've got Rafinha, who arguably has been as important, if not more important, than both of them. So Ansu Fati getting into that Barcelona lineup is difficult. And then you've got the likes of Ferran Torres again. Ferran Torres has got, was it a stat I see the other day? I think Ferran Torres has got something like 20 GA and he's hardly been playing. And he's not even a main starter. So, Fati's got to try and get past him as well. And then you've got Dani Olmo, who can also play out there. So getting into this lineup of Barcelona is high quality, and for me, I would love Ansu Fati at Man United. I would love Man United to go in for someone like that because, as I said, I believe he can play as a left 10 in the system that Amarim's playing. He's a ball carrier, and obviously he can play in the half spaces as well. So I'd love Man United to sign someone like him. Whether that happens, I don't know. But I don't really know what the future is for Ansu Fati because I would like him to stay at Barcelona and, force his way into the lineup and have him and Yamal either side, which would be class because, you'd have two players coming from La Masia and they're both on the flanks for Barcelona, which really hasn't happened before, So, you had Pedro, but obviously at the time you had David Villa there, who come from obviously Valencia, and then so I think it'll be good to see Fati and Yamal as on the flanks for both, for Barcelona and for Spain. But I just don't know what's going to happen with Fati. But if I'm picking one player, you'd have to say Lamine Yamal, because I think Lamine Yamal for me is the closest player I've seen to a Messi, and obviously his career is just starting, but what he's already done in his career, is special, man. So, I'll have to say Lamine Yamal, but hopefully Ansu Fati does come on as well, man, because I do think Ansu Fati, still has the potential, to become one of the best in the world. But I think his next club, if he doesn't stay at Barcelona, is going to be key, and obviously again, it's about him staying injury free as well. So, I think, it's going to be difficult, but I'll say Lamine Yamal at the moment. And Adona says Spain will win the World Cup. I think Spain are definitely one of the favourites for the World Cup. Definitely, I would say they're one of the favourites. I would definitely say they're one of the favourites. If you look at Spain's Spain squad. You know, they've got so much quality there. I think the only thing they're probably missing is a number 9 that you could say is amongst like one of the best in the world. You know, I mean they've got obviously Morata. You know, and Morata does very well for Spain. You know, he's quite an unsung hero for Spain, really. And they've got Mikel Oyarzabal from Real Sociedad, who obviously is the alternative to Morata. But I think that in terms of Yamal, you know, Pedri, obviously got Nico Williams on the left, Danny Olmo, who else they got? Alex Baena as well. Rafa Bauer mentioned. You know, they've got a few other players. Rodri, obviously when he came back from his injury. What's his name? Fabian Ruiz. Who else they got there? They've got a few more. Zubimendi. You know, they've got a lot of quality, man, in from midfield to attack. You know, and as I said, even Ansu Fati, hopefully if he comes back. You know, obviously got Balde at left back. Carvajal's been out injured, but they've got options at right back. You know, got Pedro Porro. You know, centre backs. They've got Asensio's come through now. They've got Pau Kabasi. You know, they've got that Dean Huijsen as well, newcomer into the squad. You know, so and they've got a few others that I'm probably forgetting as well. So they have got a lot of quality going into the World Cup. And, you know, there could be some other players that we're not even talking about now. You know, obviously Gavi as well in midfield. You know, they got Casado, obviously both from Barcelona. You know, they've got a lot of quality, man, and they're going to be a threat in the World Cup for sure. I just think that if they can unearth a striker that, as I said, is and it won't be easy, that is amongst one of the best in the world, then they'll probably go in as favourites. You know, I would say because again, they've got all round just a quality squad. You know, it's not, and again, this is a squad. Yeah, as good as their squad is, this is a squad that is nowhere that is not even near the of what they had before when they had the likes of Busquets, Xavi, Iniesta, Cesc Fabregas, David Silva, David Villa, Torres, Mata. Like, you know what I mean? They had so much quality in that midfield. Marcos Senna, if anyone remembers Marcos Senna, Xabi Alonso, you know, Busquets, I'm not Busquets, PK, Ramos, Jordi Alba, you know, it's probably a few more I'm forgetting. Like, you know, their squad was stacked of quality, you know, and this squad now is not on that level, but it's still very good. Adorma says, bro, if this happens, I will jump from Spain versus Portugal in the final. Do you know what? Portugal's squad should put them in semi-finals to finals, you know. But for me, whenever Portugal play up against a bigger nation, you know, and it really matters, Portugal don't get the job done, you know. So I hear what you're saying, Spain versus Portugal final, but I'd more back Spain more than Portugal because Portugal, for too many times, they don't win when they have to. And the problem is as well, as long as they're hell bent on playing Ronaldo, you know, it's going to be a detriment to their team because when Ronaldo plays, a lot of the play has to go through him. You know, obviously he's the captain, he's the most experienced, you know, he's the biggest name, so everything has to go through Ronaldo, which isn't a good thing, you know. And in terms of their midfield, you know, Vitinha, you know, they've got João Neves, you know, João Felix don't even get a regular game. You know, they got, obviously on the left, they got Rafael Leao's pace, you know, Pedro Neto, Nuno Mendes at left back. For me, he's one of the best left backs in the world. You know, they've got players that can cause a lot of problems, but I just don't trust this. I just don't trust Martinez to pick the right team. Is it Martinez's manager? I'm pretty sure it's Martinez. Yeah. I don't trust him to pick the right team because, let's be honest, if they want to move forwards, they have to, you know, manage Ronaldo's minutes, you know. And when I say manage Ronaldo's minutes, I mean, you know, making him an option from the bench, you know, making him, someone that is happy to play his part. But if you're going to keep starting Ronaldo, you know, you're just looking for him to get a goal, really, because general play, he's not really offering too much. You know what I mean? So that's what I would say, man. But yeah, Ronaldo is older now, so he should be playing more of a cameo appearance if he's still in the squad. But the fact that he hasn't got the, I would say, humility. I would say, the fact that he hasn't got the humility to say, let other players come through and then he can be an option from the bench and help the team. I think it's a big issue. And as I said, I think he needs to be taking a back seat to, you got Gonzalo Ramos, Jota, obviously, who are their other forward options, but he should be taking a back seat, really. But obviously Ronaldo's, his ego and his personality won't allow that. So we'll have to wait and see. But again, man, big up for your comment, but I don't see Portugal making any final, because I think if they bump into a France, or a Spain or a Holland, Germany, they bump into one of them teams, I think it's something else I'm forgetting. Brazil, Argentina. I think if they bump into one of them teams, I can see them not getting past them. Definitely. So, bro, Ronaldo will win World Cup. What do you think? Nah, Ronaldo's not winning no World Cup. He's not. As I've just mentioned, when Portugal meet certain teams, I don't see them beating them. And again, if they're gonna consistently play Ronaldo, I think it's gonna set the team back, because that team is stacked of quality, all over the pitch, and but they need a front man who's probably a bit more mobile than what Ronaldo's offering. And let's not forget as well, Ronaldo's not even a born striker. Ronaldo's actually a winger, but he's transitioned to playing as a striker because it's about numbers, and again, he doesn't take up the positions or that doesn't provide what a natural striker. I wouldn't say positions, actually. I'll say he doesn't provide what a natural striker should do in terms of the link play, in terms of the holding the ball up. He doesn't really provide that. He's just more about just getting a goal, really, to add to his tally, and I think that could be to Portugal's detriment, I would say. Yeah, no, big up Adorma, man. Big up. Messi or Ronaldo in dribbling, it's not even a conversation, man. It's Messi. Ronaldo, when he was at Man United, was a good, very good dribbler, but his dribbling was more step over. Messi doesn't need step overs. He's just he's just more intricate with the ball. The ball is more closer to his feet in that sense. So yeah, it's Messi all the way, man. When it comes to anything from the aesthetics point of view, Messi. When it comes to like passing, dribbling, when I say shooting, I mean who's more like in terms of placing the ball. Ronaldo's better with the long shots with power, but Messi, obviously, in terms of placing it, that's his thing. Yeah, Messi all the way. What do I think about Pogba? Yeah, big up Adorma, man. Great questions. Easy for me. Paul Pogba, when he's fit and he's in the right system, the right team that's going to get the best out of his qualities, you're looking at the best and the most complete midfielder in the world. Like, he's that good. The only player that I've seen in world football that has qualities like Pogba in terms of having every single attribute that a midfielder needs, in terms of the passing, the shooting, the strength, the pace. And again, not saying that they're overly fast, but they've got a bit of pace about them. Aerially good as well. The only player I've seen close to that is Yaya Toure, that has all those skill sets that Pogba has. Pogba as well. It's very skillful. You don't get midfielders as skillful like a Paul Pogba, because they normally play on the wing. You know what I mean? So, so for me, Paul Pogba, on his day, I wouldn't even say on his day. I'd say in the right system and in the right team, you're looking at the most complete midfield player in the world, easily. And him coming back from his ban, again, he's got to get up to speed with his fitness and that, which I have no doubt that he will. But you're still looking at the most complete player in the world, because you don't lose those abilities. And for me, I just want to see him back playing quickly. Hopefully it's at Man United, but if it's not, I just want to see him back playing, and showcasing the ability that he's got, because players like this don't come around too often, if ever. So for me, yeah, Paul Pogba, the most complete midfielder of his generation. And if he gets back playing in this generation, he's already one of the best players in the world, easily. So yeah. Mesut Ozil again. Mesut Ozil for me is criminally underrated. I think when Ozil was in his prime, he wasn't as appreciated as he should have been. Obviously at Real Madrid he was, but at Arsenal, he was appreciated, but not to the level that he should have been. I believe, And then you look at Arsenal now, and they've got Martin Odegaard, and Odegaard's nowhere near Ozil. Odegaard's a very good footballer, but he's nowhere near Ozil. And I think in terms of Ozil, if Ozil was in this era right now, he'd be getting criticised because they would look at him as someone that doesn't do enough off the ball. But there's no doubt in his ability, and he'd easily be one of the best players in the game right now if he was at an Arsenal with his quality. Because, as I said, and it's nothing on Ozil, but the quality has diminished so much. Ozil would be one of the best players in the world, in the top 3, I would say. But when he was in his prime, there were so many other good players, and it was hard to make that top 3. So, yeah. Big up Gracie. So Gracie's Kaka. Yeah, Kaka was a top player, Gracie, at Real Madrid and at AC Milan. He was. So Grace says, "Why are you always recording it in the car?" Because more of the time I'm getting ready to go somewhere, and I do try and mix it up. So I might record at home or I might record in the car, and in the car it's quite comfortable as well. So yeah, I just try and mix it up if anything. Guys, I'm gonna have to shoot now anyway. But big up yourselves for coming on. As I said, big up for your questions. Big up for all the comments and that as well. As I said, guys, if you haven't subscribed to my channel already, make sure you button. And as I said, if you do like the stream, make sure you smash that like button as well to help reach more people. And again, if you're just coming in now, guys, make sure you watch from the start. So I just spoke about the Champions League quarterfinals, Bayern Munich versus Inter Milan, how I think that's going to go, and obviously the Arsenal Real Madrid game, which is tonight at 8 o'clock. So yeah, 2 good ties. Obviously, I'll be watching that Arsenal and Real Madrid game. I probably might do a match reaction to that game straight after the game. I'll see. So if you are interested in watching the content, then as I say, put your notification on, see when I go live. But if not, I'll probably do a reaction tomorrow, but I'm not decided yet. I might do it tonight. I might do it tomorrow. I'll see. But before I go, big up to Mohammed Hassan. So what car is that? It's a nice one. Thank you for asking. And Gracie says, before you leave, who is your favorite player? So again, I've mentioned this plenty of times, I can't say favorite player because it's hard, because I've got three players that are my top 3, and there is others. For me, Eden Hazard and Neymar, Paul Pogba, Anthony Martial, they're some of my favorite players. But my top 3 are Messi, Ronaldinho, and the R9. So 3 favorites. So yeah. But guys, big up yourselves for coming on. As I said, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And again, if you haven't watched it from the start, go back and have a watch. And I'll probably catch you guys after the Real Madrid Arsenal game today, or if not tomorrow, around 12 o'clock, guys. 12 o'clock or half 12. So make sure you're tuned in. But big up yourselves. And that's it. Take it easy.